Well, good evening. Hello, hello. Check, check, test. No checks, cash only. Okay, audio's good. 7 p.m. and it's that time. Hello, everybody. Great to have you on tonight. Hope you all had an amazing holiday season, Christmas, New Year's, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. I sure had a good one. I didn't do much over Christmas. That is, I did end up going skiing though last week, and sure enjoyed it. We've had quite a bit of snow and cold weather here. Let me do a little adjustment here. There we go. That's a little better. Not cutting my head off. We've had quite a bit of snow. In fact, we had about 3 inches overnight. I probably have maybe 8 or 9 inches on the ground, something like that. And we had some really cold weather. It was not quite zero. I think 4 degrees was as cold as it got. And now it's in the 30s. They're expecting some 40-degree temperatures come Thursday, Friday, and that's just going to make a hell of a mess around here because all that snow is going to turn into slop. Of course, any of you folks that live out in snow country or where it snows know exactly what I'm talking about. Nobody likes the slop season, but yeah, that's it. Overall, I had a pretty good Christmas and New Year's. I hope you guys did as well. As always, your questions or comments are welcome. I have to admit that I'm still kind of tired. I got home, I guess it was, what is today? It's Tuesday, isn't it? I've lost total track of time. And so I got home Sunday, and yesterday I pretty much just laid around, and I'm sore. I'm really sore. I was using muscles that I haven't used for a long time. So my core, right? You know, your core, your stomach and your back and all that's pretty sore. But it feels good. It feels good. Let's go over and see who all is in tonight. We got Richard in from Germany. Hello, Rich. Hope you had a great Christmas. Imagine you're probably still locked down. Lots of cases of the Omicron, I guess it is, going on. But there's only been, at least on the news that I've seen here, 3 or 4 that have been reported here in Idaho, and only one in eastern Idaho where I'm at. And right now the normal COVID is pretty low here, so we're not in the weeds in any way, shape, or form with respect to that here. But it looks like out in the Northeast, it's pretty bad. A fellow that I follow on Instagram that is a woodworker, just retired from the Air Force, and he's got the COVID right now. And gosh, I hope nobody gets that. But at least this Omicron doesn't seem to be as lethal as some of the others. Anyway, we'll go back and see who else is in here. Roundtown Scouter's in. He's down in Carlsbad for the winter. Hope you're doing well down there. And we've got Tim Myers in. Hi, Tim. Aaron Jameson, a moderator extraordinaire, in from Texas. Looks like we got George, a.k.a. Dad, says he was killing time listening to Doug Baumauer on steel guitars. Yeah, I love a good steel guitar. I do. I mean, Roy Clark. Everybody that's on this stream is usually old enough to know some of the artists I'm going to talk about. And I have other interests as well, but Roy Clark played an amazing steel guitar. I got to see him many times in Branson. My folks retired down south of Branson, just about 30 minutes, and so when I would go visit, one of our regular activities was to go up to Branson and go see a show. Their favorite was Soji Tabuchi, I think was his name. He was a Japanese fellow, very talented, very fun place up there in Branson. Looks like Jeff Riplinger's in from Fiery Denver Boulder. Oh, that reminds me, Jeff. Yeah. I have a really good friend of mine that I worked with for many years who lost everything. He's over in Louisville. And yeah, he lost everything. I talked to him on the phone yesterday evening, and yeah, they've lost pets. They lost their house, their RV. They're gone. He says it's burned to the ground. There is nothing left of it. Him and his wife were both at work. Their kids are grown and gone, but him and his wife were both at work, and so there was nobody to go or to recover anything because this thing sparked up at what 11 in the morning, something like that, and with 70-mile-an-hour winds like they were showing, it ripped through Superior and Louisville, and in fact, that area there around Superior is not too far from a couple of data centers I used to do a ton of work in. Back when I was an IT geek and living in Denver there in early 2010s, something like that. So yeah, great to have you in, Jeff. Food Porn Chef, he says he's in Hot Springs BLM LTVA. That's the long-term vehicle area out in Holtville, California. That's probably supposed to say hello to all my boondocking family. I hope that's what it's supposed to say. E Squared, great to have you in here from Michigan. Tim Cuneo from Georgia, great to have you in, Tim. Happy to see you. Yeah, no lockdowns here. Richard's in Germany. And in Europe, they've had a completely different take on this, where they've locked down a lot. Mostly because, I don't know if their healthcare system is, well, ours isn't that good as well, apparently. I mean, I think we have great healthcare. We just don't have capacity. Oh, and Randy Waller's in. Hi, Randy. Yeah, we're getting a little bit of neighborhood, or a little bit of weather up here. Not too bad, though. It's supposed to be wet through the west of the week. Sound like we're Bugs Bunny. So Judy Kimbrough's in from Alabama. 6 inches of snow in Alabama. Yeah, that's wild for Alabama, North Alabama for sure. But yeah, that's wild. Gord Schultz. Hi, Gord. He's in from Smiths Falls, Ontario. And yeah, I hope the same thing. I hope everybody is safe and healthy. Camp Gore 1, Linda's in from down there in Arizona. Thank you, Tim, for your super chat. That is super nice of you, and I appreciate that. Tim says he lost some cypress trees this weekend in the storm. Yeah, I lost a tree. If you weren't on a couple weeks ago, I might still be able to pull this up. It's been a while, and I didn't do any prep. I have to admit, I was lazy and catching up all day on, getting the house, getting stuff around the place here, and so it took me time to get that all done, and then before you knew it, it was time to do the live stream tonight. But yeah, I lost a tree to the wind. We had these hellacious winds 2 weeks ago, I guess it was, maybe 2.5 weeks ago, something like that. I don't remember exactly, maybe 3 weeks ago now. And yeah, I lost a 40-foot blue spruce from my front yard. Dang near hit the neighbor's house. I mean, it was so close to hitting the neighbor's house. If it would have been another 6 inches, it would have hit his house. That would have been really unfortunate. But yeah, I dodged a bad one on that for sure. Let's see here if I can find these. I don't know. Oh, and then we had, I don't know, you get these kids, I guess they are. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't speak too much out of turn here. I don't know if they were kids, but I surely think they were spinning cookies in the neighbor's yard on their four-wheelers. So that wasn't such a good thing. I was able to provide some video from my cameras to the police I don't know if they've tracked him down yet. My neighbors across the street happen to be gone now. They headed out for a little bit of warm weather. So I agree with you, Tim. Yeah, 6 inches of snow in Alabama. That's crazy. That is wild, especially where you probably don't have any snow removal equipment or anything like that down there. They just have to wait for it to melt off. Um, George is down in LaBelle, Florida, so I'm glad to see you got out of the cold country, George. I hope your rig is all working good. I know that you were struggling with getting a few repairs in. Judy Kimbrough says about Alabama, it was especially since it was 75 degrees the day before. That sounds like Idaho weather. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. It'll change. I've had it here many times than I can even remember that we'd have 60, 65, 70-degree days and then snow the next day. So, but yeah, that's pretty wild. 75 degrees to 6 inches of snow. Hi, Tom Downey. I was afraid I might have insulted you, and you were never coming back after, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago? We ended the stream with he's old. If I'm teasing anybody, it's all in good fun, and you're welcome to tease me back, okay? Because I love having you guys in. And as always, if there's any questions RVing related, then feel free to throw them over there, and otherwise we'll just chat. It's middle of winter now, and not a lot of people are thinking about RVing except those that might be escaping the cold and snow, like some of the folks around town Scouter, and there's a Jim Bertrand and a bunch of folks that are usually down south for the winter. I wish I was now, but it is what it is. Oh, Two Feathers is in. Great. Yeah, made it another year. Woohoo. I totally agree with that one. Tim Meyer says he's still old. I love it. Oh, by the way, Tom, I've been chatting with a fellow. He's over in Whidbey as well. He goes by Gray online. Alan Parks is his name. He's Gray at graybird.com. He's got an SNS camper, and we've been communicating, comparing notes and exchanging emails. I got a really nice email from him. I think it was this morning. I just haven't got back to him yet. I'll get there eventually. I've got probably 200 emails I got to get caught up on. So if you've emailed me recently, I will be getting back to you. I'll be processing email and doing that kind of stuff tomorrow. Roundtown Scouter says he has a 98 Fleetwood Discovery, having a problem with the entry door latch. It's difficult to open. Talk to Fleetwood about part. It's a Phillips door and parts discontinued. Yeah, cha. Have you taken the latch apart, Roundtown Scouter, to look in there? I know that I had an old camper a long time ago. It was an old 26-foot tow behind. And I had a hell of a time with the door on it, and it was out of, it was obsolete. I couldn't get the latch for it, and I managed to take the latch out, and I took it apart, and what I did is I went to the junkyard, and I found another latch, and I was able to cobble together a working latch from two. Now, you can buy replacement door latches, and so, they're all a little different, but in a 98 Fleetwood, you might reach out, Roundtown Scouter, you might go over to irv2.com and get on the Fleetwood Discovery page, owner's page, and ask if anybody has any ideas on a replacement. I'm not that familiar with that rig, but those door latches are pretty much all the same. I mean, other than the dimensions, the sizes are different and that kind of stuff. And so you might be able to do what I did. I had to drill a few rivets out, and I had to weld in a stud with a screw on it. And I just oxyacetylene welded that in. It didn't have to be, super strong. But I was able to take my old handle case and remove the guts from it and replace it with the guts from a new handle, and it worked perfectly. So it took about 4 or 5 hours of fiddling, but I finally got it to work right. It's but you might try that over on IRV2. You might find somebody who has run into that before and has done a lot of legwork to figure out what would be a good replacement piece for it that might be a perfect fit. And I'd recommend that. Or, I wonder, there is a company. I'm gonna have to think about that one. Let me make myself a note here so I don't forget, and we'll follow up on it next week. That door latch 98. All right, I'll do a little research on that myself, and see if I can't come up with maybe a good replacement for you there, Around Town Scouter. Tom Downey says, no problem. Good. Glad to hear that. Tim asks, how's my dad? He is fine. I can't get him to answer his damn phone. He, for whatever reason, apparently the mute button, the ring mute button, is close to wherever he holds it. And he ends up muting the damn thing, and then he can't hear it ring. So I ended up having to call my brother and get my brother to go tell him to unmute his phone so I could talk to him. But he's doing fine. I think they missed me for Christmas. But after being there for 17 weeks this summer, I figured I'd save myself. And besides, I'm kind of glad I didn't go, because air travel, I would have flown. And air travel has been a nightmare. Thousands and thousands and thousands of canceled flights. So I'm kind of glad I didn't travel. I might still not be home. Any help for parts? Yeah, no worries, Round Town Scouter. We'll see what we can come up with. I'll do some digging for you. And again, you go over to IRV2 and get on the Fleetwood, the Discovery owners group for Fleetwood, and ask around, because you might come up with somebody who's gone through the same thing. It's not that uncommon when you're in a rig, a 98. That's 24 years old. The things wear out, and unfortunately they become obsolete. I don't think a lot of these manufacturers expected us to keep their rigs running for 24, 25 years, but we sure have. Camp Goer 1 says, someone tried to steal my Dodge Dakota that I inherited from my dad. Pry marks on the door. Now it's locked behind in my RV gate. That sucks. That really sucks. It must have been amateurs, because a real car thief wouldn't pry the door open. They would use there's these flat pieces of metal. I forget what they call them. We used to call them a skeleton key, but that's really not what they're called. But police, tow truck drivers, those sorts of people have them. It's a long, thin piece of metal with a little hook in the end, and you get down in there and you can work around, and within a couple of minutes you can usually unlock a car door with one of those. I forget what they're called. Somebody in the chat remind me what those little widgets are called that that you can open doors with. Tom's getting over COVID. Oh, that sucks. Sorry, Tom, to hear that. Tim says they won't camp until April 1st there in Georgia. Yeah, April 1st at the earliest here, too. Well, March sometimes can trick you, and you can get a couple of decent weekends in March. If you don't mind chilly weather at night, chilly temps at night. Gord Schultz asks, hoping I can help him with a debate he's having with two dealerships. When storing your RV in winter, should I use my auto leveling system or just park it on my tires? No. Do not park it on your tires. Level it. Take as much weight off those tires as you can. okay? Because otherwise you're going to end up with flat spots on them because you've got all that weight holding on them. So you want that thing jacked up. Now, jack it up just enough to get the weight off the tires. Not all of the weight, but just the bulk of the weight off. So get it off there. Do not leave it sitting on the tires without being jacked up over the winter. You will have flat spots from hell that will take you 100 miles or more to get out, and it'll be 100 miles of thump, 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 thump. So definitely want to park your RV on the jacks. Get as much weight off of them as you can, and you know, that's the way you should do it. Hope that helps, Gord. The dealership that's telling you to park it on the tires, I wouldn't do business with. They don't know beep from Shinola. Oh, Damien Flora, nice try on spamming. So we're just going to put you away. Goodbye. Yeah, thanks for the reminder, Aaron. Your thumbs up are greatly appreciated. They help get that video ranked up higher. If you're not subscribed, I'd be surprised because I think pretty much everybody that comes to the streams, at least this time of the year, are pretty much subscribed. But if you're not subscribed, ring the notification bell. Lots of great content still to come. Things will be picking up, I'm sure. You know, like I've said before, with an RVing channel like mine, it's very seasonal. You know, other than the full-timers that are out in Florida and Arizona and New Mexico or places where it's warm. You know, a lot of people park their RVs for winter and they don't think about it again until spring. But I will say that I got some exciting news. I've been working on actually 2 different sponsorships, and I've got all the lighting for the replacement lighting for the truck camper has all been done through sponsorships. And so I'm really excited to share it with you. I have actually used this company myself on Amazon when I bought lights, when I was doing the light work that I did in my 40-foot Class A Rusty. And so I was really happy to stumble across this opportunity. And so I'll be sharing all that with you coming up later this spring when I actually can get back out there and get working on the truck camper, because it's sitting out there in the snow right now, all wrapped up nice and neat. Round Town Scouter, let's see, George aka Dad, sorry, we're catching up here. My dad just wants your brother to stop over more often. Actually, my brother lives with him. My brother's disabled, and so they live together. Round Town Scouter reports back, yes, an arm on the inside of is worn. Okay. I think I might try to fill and file the arm. Yeah, you know, that liquid steel, I've had good luck with that. Oh, who makes that stuff? Come on, it's the 2-part epoxy. Escapes me, but I've had good luck with liquid steel using it as a filler. Oh, Tom says his whole family has it. Oh, man, that sucks. I'm so sorry, Tom. I hope you guys are all okay. JB Weld, thanks, Tim. Yeah, JB Weld, liquid steel, their stuff is pretty good, and I've used it to fill and sand and file, and so that might be good. I know I had to do, thanks, George, yeah, it's JB Weld. I actually had to use a little JB Weld, oh, this has been 4 or 5 years ago, on one of the latches on the basement doors, compartment doors on Rusty, my RV, now Richard's RV. But, and it worked out good. I had to do a similar thing, is that there was a wear spot on it that when I tried to open the latch, it would catch on it and it would, you know, stop it from opening. And I filled it with JB Weld steel, liquid steel. I always called it liquid steel, but it's a JB Weld steel filler type stuff. And yeah, it worked like a charm. Oh, Two Feathers had a question for Tom, wanting to know if he knew which variant he has. Um, Tim Myers asked, what is the consensus on age before replacing the tires? No more than 6 years. No more than 6 years. Most folks will say 5, some say 7 or 8. It's 6 years. It's 6 years, period. That's what you want to run, 6 years, no more than 6 years. Tom Downey says, my gray tank slide valve is getting sticky. What to put on it? WD-40 works great, Tom. Take and pull the stem out. WD-40 the stem, push it in, work it several times, keep working it. There's 2 O-rings in that stem. There's an O-ring at the back, and then there's one right at the front, right where the metal stem comes out of that plastic piece of the valve. And yeah, so WD-40 it, working back and forth, you should be good to go. That's what I used on mine, and it works great. Yeah, Two Feathers says Omicron affects the throat more and Delta the lungs. Yeah, I was reading about it myself, Two Feathers, and yeah, the Omicron is an upper respiratory thing, so the head, the throat, and then the Delta and the other COVIDs were all in the lungs. I was thinking about this when I was driving home. I was listening to, I don't know, I was trying to find something on the radio, and I listened to NPR, and they had a story on about the COVID and Omicron and all that stuff. And they said one of the other things that tends to be a new symptom they're seeing is night sweats. So, hey, Chris, CNS Schoolie Project. How are you, sir? Happy New Year. I'm so happy to have you guys here tonight. Hope the weather and everything has been good for you. Yeah, great to have you in. Oh, by the way, Chris, this is just a tip. Now, I can't buy stuff on my own Amazon store, on my own Amazon links. And so I try to bounce around. I try to share the love. And I went to one of your pages the other day, or over to your, I guess it's been a couple weeks ago now. It feels like the other day. And I'd be damned if I could find the link to your Amazon store. And I looked at 2 or 3 different videos. I'd recommend, even though you don't have an Amazon product in the video or something you're using from Amazon, to leave that link in the description. I'm going to throw you a little love. I'm going to buy a bunch of parts for the camper, and I decided I'd pick you as my Amazon affiliate and throw a little love your way. Tim Cuneo asks, have I ever been to Yellowstone National Park? Are you serious? Yes. I grew up less than 100 miles from Yellowstone. My earliest memories of camping with my mom and dad are in Yellowstone. I remember distinctly, I must have been maybe 5. I was very young, but I remember we were camping in Yellowstone. We were car camping, tent camping, in a VW Bug. Dad had a cooler, roped. We didn't have bungees back in those days, back in the dark ages. We didn't have bungees, but he had the cooler rope to the top. And yeah, we had a great time. But yeah, that was in Yellowstone. And I've been back many, 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 many times. In fact, every year when I would come back, when I was living full time in the RV, and I would come back to Idaho, I would stay at Henry's Lake State Park, or somewhere up in that area. That's in the very far, it's like 20 minutes to West Yellowstone from there. I would stay there at Henry's Lake State Park, or there's another really cool place around the corner there called Bill Frome County Park. And then the nice thing about that area is that's all forest, national forest up there, Targhee National Forest. And you can dry camp about anywhere. Okay, I mean within reason, but you can dry camp up there. There's tons of places you can dry camp in that area. But yeah, Yellowstone is probably, well, it is my favorite national park. Um, Mostly because I grew up there. I've been going there my whole life. George, aka Dad, says blowouts are wicked expensive. Yes, they are. Uh, Voice of experience, long short story. We got time. 2012. I was on my way back to Idaho from Virginia. I was on I-40 about, I'm going to say 40 miles west of Nashville. Yeah, 40 miles west of Nashville on I-40. And I blew an inside right rear dual. And it took out the compartment right behind the wheel, which happened to be my electrical compartment. I also stored all my oils in there. I, you know, traveling's carrying spare oil, a little bit of antifreeze, stuff like that, just so you've got some fluids on hand. And it looked like I blew a motor. The next year, and it was expensive. It was over $9,000 to repair the compartment and then to repair the battery. The battery compartment didn't get hurt, but the door got tore up. And to repair all that was $9,000. Not to mention the tire, which is another 500 or 600 on the roadside there. So yeah, blown tires are no joke. The next year I was coming through there, and the oil slick that I left when that container let go and all that oil and antifreeze and everything else, I mean, I had car wax and stuff like that all in there. I could still see the oil slick on the road when I came back through that same stretch of I-40 the next year. Okay, he says Tom doesn't know, didn't care which. George, aka Dad, was saying he was tempted to put a Zerk fitting in the back of the housing for the dump valves. Yeah, I don't know that that would really help because you need to get it on that stem. That's what's causing it to get sticky. Is those stems get because there's an O-ring right inside underneath, where the the rod comes through that stem. There's an O-ring that sits on the inside of that. And there's another one at the other end of that stem too. But that's typically what will cause them to get sticky. Okay, let's see. CNS Schoolie, that's, he says 72 days ago and now at 30s. Yeah, we were just chatting with it'll come to me, Alabama. Where are you? Judy from Alabama, northern Alabama, which wouldn't be too far from where you're at. And yeah, they had 75 degrees one day and 6 inches of snow the next. Now you're welcome, Chris, anytime. Oh, Tom says he was infused with sotroimbamab. Okay. Sorry, I'm not good with medical stuff like that. Sotroimbab made me better one day later. Well, that's pretty good. So that's the antibody therapy stuff. George, aka Dad, says first record of camping 6 months old at Peoples State Park in Connecticut. Found my mom's baby diary for me while doing the 2020 summer clean out of the attic of the house. Oh, that's interesting. I have my old baby diaries too now. Let's see. Chris over at CNS Schoolie says, hey, by the way, Dad in-law did buy an RV. Shout out to me for the help. Thanks. You're very welcome. Happy to help. Hey Larry, glad to have you in here. You don't know from cold. I keep having to tell my dad that. We were 4 degrees here on Thursday or Friday last week. So has it got down to 4 degrees yet? Just kidding you, Lair. I know it gets cold there. At 20 degrees and 90% humidity is colder than 4 degrees at 10% humidity. Trust me. I've experienced both, and yeah, it sucks. Food Porn Chef says, I bent my rod by pushing with my foot and I need to change it. I hope it just a Ventura screw in rod. Till then, I put extra value closure gap on it because it bent in a place where it won't close fully. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, that's a real drag. I hate to, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to make things work. You know, I get comments all the time, you know, on like, especially like repair projects. One comes to mind that I had come in here in the last couple weeks or so was on a repair I did to a sewer line. And their answer was, well, you know, I would have plastic welded it. Well, you don't always have access to those tools. The second thing is, in an RV, you have limited space, so you can't be packing around a lot of tools and a lot of things you're going to use once in every 2 or 3 years. Because space is at a premium, particularly if you're full-timing. So you got to just make do with what you can get your hands on. Tom says, better for you than me. We're 68 degrees, yeah. Tom, you're still in Texas, right? Down there helping your daughter with her house. George says, oh, CNS, have you seen the commercial buses converted to RVs? Major experience in all things engine, chassis, and systems. Yeah, we've chatted about this before, but yeah, he's doing a bus conversion. I watch a lot of the I'm a build nerd. So van builds, bus builds, RV rebuilds, truck camper rebuild now for myself, that kind of stuff. I really like watching the builds and those sorts of things. And yeah, Bus Grease Monkey is a good one to watch. You get to see a lot of like older Crowns, MCIs, commercial buses that have been converted to RVs. He's only doing mechanical, right? So he's working on the mechanical side of it, the rolling chassis side of it. But you almost always will get a nice tour. And he's had some really nice rigs roll through his place. Chris is redoing a bus, and he had... I saw in one of the videos, and I thought I remembered you saying something in one of your videos, Chris, that you might be doing a second rig down there, and it looked like you had it in the second bus. It looked like it might have been in the driveway, but maybe things changed. Yep, Bus Grease Monkey, he is pretty good. Larry says wind chill was 1 degree the other day, ready for spring. Yeah, well, you only got about 6 weeks, Larry, before you have to start worrying about spring. We got about 3 months. It'll be mid-March before we start to get springy around here. So we got at least 8 weeks, maybe 10. Before we can hope for better weather. Tom Downey, the kids' new house is pretty much done. We may go home any day. Gotcha. Okay. Well, you get to spend the holidays with them, and that's nice. Plus, you got to help them out with their house. Oh, you got a 2008 Chevy shuttle bus. Okay, that's what was sitting in the driveway. Okay, gotcha. Groovejet. Hey, Groovejet. Great to have you in. Says, good evening. I've not had any rest over Christmas. Renovating a VW transporter. Excellent. Converting it into a camper. I bought templates for extra storage for the bulkhead, and I shouldn't have bothered. as it's a mile out. Yeah, uh, unless, yeah, that's real unfortunate. Um, yeah, that's a real drag. Sorry to hear that, group chat. But man, I'm kind of jealous of your project. That sounds like a really interesting project. Um, I have it in. I've toyed with it in my mind. If I could find an older VW, uh, you know, van, bus, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I'm not even. I wouldn't consider like. I mean, like, gosh, wouldn't it be nice to get like a 19 window, and rebuild that? I think that would be amazing. CNS Schoolie says he's been working on that there here and there. They just pulled a fuel tank for a repair. Would probably make a boring video. Yeah, you never know. I mean, as a creator, you just never know. I mean, I did an offhand, one-off, completely off-topic video 3 years ago where I did a quick, easy repair on the fridge, the residential fridge I installed. Um, and I recorded it and put it up, and it consistently gets views every day. Not has Doesn't have anything to do with RVing, doesn't have anything to do with anything, except that in this Samsung fridge, there's a little defroster clip that goes down inside a drain hose, and the defroster drain tends to freeze up because the clip isn't long enough, and so by adding that longer clip, it completely fixed that problem, at least for me. And but I did a video on it, and it consistently gets 20, 30 views a day. It's amazing. So you never know. Gord Schultz asks, what are the best and lightest solar panels in my opinion? Well, I'll be honest with you. I bought Renogy for the truck camper, Renogy, and I am getting set up as an affiliate with them. In fact, I am set up. I just haven't done anything on videos yet because that's probably 2-3 months down the road before you get to see me put those on. On my Class A, there is a video on my channel about that. I used Silfab, Silfab. They were Canadian built, and they were great panels. And they were, I want to say, they were 310 watts, and I want to say they were 40-ish pounds, 48 pounds comes to mind. I don't recall exactly. But here's the thing about lightweight. I wouldn't worry so much about weight unless you're putting up a ton of panels. Saving 2 or 3 pounds is probably not going to make a big difference. But what you're going to do is if you get into really lightweight panels, they're going to not be made of good solid metal, and they could flex and fatigue and break. And so I think anything with a good solid aluminum frame on it, the Silfabs were great. I really, I considered using them again, but the footprint wouldn't work. Okay, whereas I think I can get 5 panels of the Renogy 100 watts on there. The Silfabs, they were huge panels. They're 65 inches tall and I think 40 inches wide, something like that. And it just wouldn't work on that roof, not the way it's laid out. So I ended up having to go with the Renogys, and I'm sure they'll be fine. I know a lot of people that are running Renogy, and they've been very happy with them. Two Feathers says, I ended up with a new water leak around the air conditioner. The sealant looked good last summer. I wonder if the snow was so piled up on it, it found another way in. Yeah, it could have, or you might have also actually had some wind that blew a little bit of snow in there. Um, Typically, underneath those, there's a gasket that's like a half inch of foam gasket that sits around the hole in the roof. And that is your seal. And then oftentimes there might be a rubber gasket in addition to that foam type gasket. And that is your seal. So, yeah, you probably want to be extra diligent and get the snow away from it until you can get up there in the spring. And you might need to pop that air conditioner unit off and do an inspection up there to see what's going on. They're not hard to remove. Don't let it intimidate you, two feathers. Um, on my roof repair video, episode 1, I show you where I'm removing the AC units off my Class A. And so that'll get you up to speed on what to do. The only thing I just tell you is mark your wires really carefully so you know what wire goes back to where. And then other than that, it's not difficult. They're not heavy. They might weigh 35 or 40 pounds. And you might want to look into getting a replacement gasket. Investigate what they used, and you might look at getting a replacement. Yeah, Chris, it's funny, isn't it? You'll get to see that as you keep. I'm assuming you're going to keep creating. Chris has a great YouTube channel, by the way. If you're new over here, go over and check him out. CNS Schoolie Project. He's been working on a schoolie now for quite a while, and he's a really cool guy. I'm sure that if we ever got together, we'd have a ton to talk about and have a great time. And I'll get back there sometime because I'll tell you, I've got friends in Virginia, friends in Georgia, and now that I've got the truck camper, I'll be definitely headed that way at some point. I'll reach out to you. We can have us a cold one and have a good chat. Jeff Ripplinger says, my friends and I went to California and Mexico in a 79 VW camper van. Awesome. I could just see it now. That would be great. I would love to do that. Going to Mexico now, I guess I know some people that go every year. They go in a caravan, and so it's a group. It's a group of people that's like 8, 9 different rigs, and they all go together. And there's safety in numbers. So if you're going to Mexico, go with a group. I guess is the best, safest way to go. But yeah, that would be amazing. That would be a great trip. George, aka Dad. Yeah, everybody with the Samsung fridge has the same problem. Apparently, it's really common. But I think what's really common is it's common where it's humid. Out here in the West, where it was dry, it never showed up. But I got out to my dad's. Hang on a second here. I got out to my dad's in the 70-80% humidity, and that thing froze up in 2 days. Okay, so catching up here, Tom Downey says, by the way, I still have the 2 amp drain on the chassis battery. I'm gonna jump ahead here. Charge the battery to 13.4 volts. 24 hours later, it had dropped to 13.2, and a day later is down to 12.8. Yeah, you're just gonna have to start going through that, I guess, piece by piece, Tom, and disconnecting stuff and trying to figure out where it is, because that sucks. You've been dealing with that for now a year at least that I can think of. That's a real drag. George, aka Dad, says, solar panels. The Bus Grease Monkey did a clip on commercial solar panels that he was able to purchase as leftovers for a good price. Yeah. The other thing you can find oftentimes is smaller solar panels that may have been installed 3 or 4 or 5 years that people are replacing because the efficiency has gone up so much. So you might pick up a good price for a solar panel is around $1 a watt. Okay, that's a pretty good ballpark, is what you can expect to pay for your solar panels. The Renogy's I bought. They had a special deal going for Christmas or whatever, and I got uh, them for $65 and change, something like that. That's 65 cents a watt, so that was really good. I believe that the Silfabs cost me about 80 cents a watt. So if you're between 70 and $1 per watt on solar panels new, you should be good to go. And if you bought a panel that say is 2 or 3 years old, maybe 4 or 5 years old, say a 220 watt panel that was maybe replaced by what they have now, 350 and higher, and soon to have higher capacity solar panels coming. You could pick those up for a song. Search used solar panels on Google. The issue there oftentimes is you can get the panel for a screaming deal, but the freight kills you, because you got to get it from, $10.75 and shipped it to Ohio. From California, you're talking, big solar panels, it costs a lot of money. So that's the deal there. Gord Schultz says, thanks so much. If you have an affiliate link now, or when you do, please send me a message. I will do that, Gord. I think I got it. I got a bunch of emails while I was gone. I'm sure it's in there. I thought I saw it come through. I will have it next week for sure. But thanks, appreciate that, Gord. Yeah, for sure. Okay, Chris. Yeah. GroupJet says, I've had issues with broadband at home. A new router that gives 1,000 megs just won't work. So am I still happy with my RV setup, or have I found any upgrades for a better signal, etc.? Okay, two things. Let's talk about the RV side first. The WeBoost was the bomb. I highly recommend it. It's not the cheapest, but it worked, and it worked well. And there's 3 or 4 videos on my channel you're welcome to go check out around cell signal and using the cell booster in my RV. So I would recommend the WeBoost. Now, like I say, there's others out there, but the WeBoost, it just worked. Then I used wherever my phone is. I don't even know where my phone is. I used a hotspot on my phone, and what I did was I set up a bridge. I set up my wireless access, my wireless router in my RV as a bridge, okay, as a bridge connection. So essentially all it became was a repeater to my phone hotspot. Because I wanted Wi-Fi, because I had a smart TV in the bedroom. I wanted Wi-Fi in the bedroom, right? And I wanted internet access. And so, short of taking the phone back there, which wasn't convenient, moving it back and forth, I just did what's called a bridge. And so essentially what it is, it's a way to set up your wireless router, and it just amplifies the signal from the cell phone. It's basically all it does, and turns it into Wi-Fi. Now, as far as at home, who's your carrier, GrooveJet? What kind of router do you have? I'm assuming that you have gigabit Ethernet in your house. I have gigabit Ethernet, and I consistently get gigabit speeds. I mean, it is screaming fast, and I'm with CenturyLink. Another question I have is, how are you measuring your speed? Okay, what kind of a tool are you using? I'm assuming it's something like SpeedNet, speedtest.net, somebody like that. I might be able to help you there. I have a bit of experience with IT since I did it for 25 years. Oh, yeah, CNS Schoolie. Um, yeah, I actually am following Jimmy and Natalie now because of what I saw. I saw them on your channel, so I am now following them. Yeah, cute couple. Um, they got trapped into I love these young couples, these young kids that are just getting out and doing it, and they have to get some mechanical work done or something, and they inevitably get woo over. Sorry, I mean, I just wish I just come get on here and ask a question before you go spend thousands of dollars on something you didn't need to get fixed. But yeah, cute couple. Uh, Cute couple. Thanks, Two Feathers. Food Porn Chef. I would love to drive down in Van Camper or Van Build. Hell yeah. Uh, I like watching the videos because I can use it for the honeydew list for future women. Keep making them. Yeah, I'll do that. Drew. Food Porn Chef. Santan Solar in Arizona have them at 50 cents a watt. You got a few from them. Yeah, yes, Santan's pretty good. Northern Arizona Solar, what's that one up there? They're in Flag. I've done some business with them. They're good too. Yeah, you can shop around and find them cheaper, but again, it's the freight that's going to get you. Tom Downey asks, question, what charges the chassis battery when uses the Victron inverter? I don't believe your chassis batteries are charging off of your inverter charger. Mine did not. I had my chassis batteries. I had a 20-watt solar battery maintainer that I put on. Well, it was there before, um, but the chassis batteries do not get charged from the house side of the um, RV. The negative, the ground is common, okay, because everything grounds to the frame eventually of the RV. So the negative is common, but I do not believe there's a positive cross connect. And I think you're running the same rig I am, Tom. I think, except you're on a Spartan chassis. So I've got a Freightliner, so there may be a subtle difference there. But I don't believe that they charge off the chassis at all. Or excuse me, the chassis batteries will not charge off the house side, off your inverter. Thanks for posting that link, Aaron. There's a link to the cell booster that Aaron went out and dug up real quick. Tom Downey says, I am required to have a secured connection. I just use my phone. Yeah, well, that's what I used, and I actually had a VPN. I don't use it anymore since I'm home here, and I have a firewall, purpose-built, specific firewall that protects me from the nasties out there in the world. On my cell phone and stuff like that, I always would encrypt using a VPN. Anytime I was doing banking or anything like that. Anytime you're on a public network, you want to encrypt. So, but yeah, that's a good point. GrooveJet says, we had a car chase in neighborhood. The criminals smashed into the street's telecommunication hub box. Oh, it's now got no door and vent, but funny watching police run down the criminals. Ah, gotcha. Yeah, call your carrier and complain. That's a drag. We're on fiber here. I actually have fiber to the house, and I have fiber all the way to the modem uh, that's servicing my connection from CenturyLink. So it's fiber from the pole to the house. It goes to fiber here. It comes zipping in and whoop-a-doo, and up in there we are, and it's fiber up to the net, up to the router. So yeah, there's lots that can go into that group jet. But yeah, I consistently get damn near full. I mean, you got to keep in mind there's overhead, right? So you're going to lose on a gigabit Ethernet connection, you're going to lose 60 megabits to the overhead. Overhead meaning the communication on the network besides your web traffic. This is the communication between your router at home and the router out there, whatever you're talking to, and all of the wire, everything in between that has anything to do with it. There's all communications that has to go on underneath that, and that eats a little bit of your bandwidth. But honestly, with gigabit Ethernet, you should never be able to overrun it unless you got 10 people streaming 4K from Amazon. Tom says he uses a sat phone. Gotcha. Alrighty, well, it's 8 o'clock. Any other questions or comments? Oh, Group Jet says, I've always been fascinated with inverters. Getting his head around taking a low voltage, increasing it to AC, interesting to a geek like me. Yeah, me too. You know, it's a simple bridge rectifier, right? Just reversed, and it really depends on how big the transformer is, on what you get out of it. I saved an old amplifier that I kept. That now actually I'm using that. I built a power supply. I didn't video it, but I built a power supply out of this big ass old transformer that came out of an old Kenwood 100 amp, receiver, and I built a nice power supply for it so I could. I'm running various 12-volt things on it, like the security cameras around the house here are all running off that power supply that I built. And I actually have a couple of portable external hard drives like this one that are running on it. That's my backup of my backup. Rich says there, the village they're in Germany, the Wi-Fi signal is so slow. Just watching the stream, it buffers about every 5 minutes. Yeah, that's a drag. And I stream in 4K because I can. Because I've got such great connectivity here at the house, I stream in 4K. And I'm spoiled. I freely admit it. I'm spoiled. Jeff Ripplinger, any comment on PepWave? Yeah, PepWave's good. They've got a good system. And what PepWave does is it takes and it can combine, say, free Wi-Fi signals or an RV park signal and your cell signal and all this stuff. And it's smart enough that it'll combine them all together and boost them up and give you a good signal. Good night, Tom. Stay well. You too. Thank you for coming in. So yeah, the PepWaves are good. Here's my take on Wi-Fi in general in RV parks. It's just barely enough to do email, very casual web browsing. 99 times out of 100, they're going to say you may not stream, period. You can't stream anything. No Netflix, no YouTube, no Prime, whatever your stream is, Pluto, Tubi, Zumo, whatever, however you say that. I mean, streaming, I'll be honest with you, and this is my opinion, I'm entitled to it. But you mark my words, in 4 years from now, direct TV will not be satellite. It will be all delivered via broadband internet. Maybe 6 years. But they're already moving that way. They, because I fund my retirement through trading, investing. So there's certain companies that I've followed over the years that I've honestly, it's mostly dividends at this point in my life. So I'm in dividend paying stocks is the way I've been funding my retirement. Is I have a good corpus of money, and then I make dividends plus the little paltry amount I make off of YouTube. Um, YouTube, to be honest with you, just barely pays for my connectivity and stuff like that. All right. Um, by the time I figure out connectivity here at the house, when I buy, cameras, I bought replacement microphones. I can't get it over there, but I got replacement microphones, um, that kind of stuff. By the time you invest in all that, it costs a lot of money. And so, yeah, YouTube pretty much pays for itself. I don't make anything off of it. And that's including the Amazon on there. The Amazon's not a lot either, but every little bit helps. And so it's nice that I don't have to come out of pocket to buy my bandwidth and stuff like that. It just makes that retirement money last a little bit longer. I'm sure a lot of folks that are on the stream could totally relate to that, wanting to make their money last longer. Good night, Tim. You have a great week. We'll see you next week. Gord, you're very welcome. Thanks for the chat, and be safe. We'll see you next week, hopefully. And I'll have that link for you for and I'll make myself a note right now so I don't forget. I'll have that Renogy link for you, and your support there would be greatly appreciated. Let's see. Group chat says, I've been overthinking, and with every country's problems, I want to get a generator for emergency. Have I had any dealings with generators? I don't have a Scooby-Doo. Yes, it's fairly easy to install a generator that you could power a portion of your house with. In the case of an emergency generator like that, you need to spend a little bit of time, and this is true for RVs or anything. If you're going to get yourself an RV and it doesn't have any generator and you want to get one, yeah, there's a lot goes into it. I'm going to catch up, and then we'll come back and finish up that thought. Randy, good night, Randy. Great to have you here. Thank you, Two Feathers. Food Porn Chef, it's Instant Connect. Very good. Yeah, good. C.S. Schooley, he says the DirecTV will be owned by Amazon. Yeah, maybe. Amazon might be delivering their satellites. No, they're not going to send up anymore. Good night, George. See you soon. Good night, Chris. Have a great week. Okay, so we were talking about emergency generators. It's easy enough to set up a generator, and you just got to figure out how much power you're going to need. All right? So you need to know what kind of heat you got or what kind of cooling, about how much power you're going to need for that. That's going to be your biggest demand point, is your heat or your cooling if you're trying to run it on an emergency generator. Then the next thing is probably cooking. Most homes have electric cooking, and the average range, you can figure 3,500 watts when it's running. Figure yourself, you may not be able to run the range at the same time you're running the furnace. You're probably going to have to do some juggling. But you could probably get by with a Champion 7,500, something like that. That's 7,500 watts. That would run an average size house. You may have to juggle a little bit with it, and it's easy enough to set them up. I do not have an emergency generator at this house. I've thought about it, but I do have a fireplace and that kind of stuff, so I'm good. Okay. Hi, Ian Fox. Yeah, it's been a while. I am well. I hope you are well as well. That's pretty well. That's pretty well off. Shameless plug, please, to end it. Yeah. Actually, group jet. When I went full time in my RV, I got rid of everything and I got rid of a lot of stuff. And so I don't have as much stuff as I used to. But yeah, I had a real wire fetish. I must have had 100 miles of wire in my garage. Yeah. But no, I got rid of a lot of stuff. I mean, I had a 10 by 10 that storage unit that was mostly full of furniture and keepsakes before I moved back in here. Gord Schultz, I missed a comment. He says he switched to Starlink at home and the speeds are incredible compared to local ISPs. When he spoke to Starlink, they were working on a mobile version for boats and RVs. Yeah. Yeah, actually, they have a beta in place for that. The issue is that, and I think they fixed this, or at least they're fixing it. Was with Starlink, they expect you to be in a fixed position, so they know what routers and various things you're using to get back to their network. And yeah, I've seen 300 gigabit a second connections off of Starlink. I think it's good stuff. Group chat says far too clever for him. Dividends. Actually, it's not that difficult. I mean, yeah, it's not that difficult. Dividends, you're not trading. All right, you go and you buy them and you sit on them and they pay you every month. That's what a dividend is. You're not figuring out what's going to trade and all that bull crap. I mean, I did that, but not anymore. When I got to a point where I couldn't tolerate risk, I just threw everything over in dividend paying stocks and I've just been hands off. And it's worked out. Peace, Aaron. Thank you. Good night, Jeff. Great to have you here. Yep. Looks like it's time. Good night. 4 a.m. there. See us next week. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, everybody on the stream. We'll go one more round of questions, if any. If not, we're going to call her good. All right. Well, shameless plug. Don't forget to give me that thumbs up. Those are always greatly appreciated. You can support the channel by visiting my Amazon store. There's a link in the description below. And remember, it's not just RV related parts. If you go to my Amazon store and you just click through the link, then you can go and buy anything you want on Amazon. Toilet paper, doesn't matter. And I'll get a small commission on it, but you pay the same price. And every little bit helps. Visit my website, trbolin.com. Lots of great content over there. And that'll have to do it for this week. It's great to have you all here. It was so nice to be gone for a week, but it's sure nice to be back with all my friends. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. But until then, peace. Good night. Oh, okay, Ian. Well, we'll stay on. We're going to sign that. That's a sign off, basically, but I'll ask the last couple questions here. It says, Ian says he found a dealership in Tucson that order deposit is refundable. Excellent. Does it have to be in Tucson? Because there's a lot of RV dealers. Like, there's a good one up in Casa Grande. And then there's, of course, a bunch up in Phoenix. But, yeah, so who was that in Tucson? What dealer was that? Group Jet says, all the Bitcoin stuff on YouTube, you need to be careful as I nearly got pulled in. But reading comments saved me, saying that they're all a scam. Well, they're not a scam, but they're very, 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 very risky. Bitcoin, it's fiat currency, okay? So it's, it's not a dollar like a dollar, like we think of a dollar. The US dollar is backed by the government, it's underwritten by the government. And Bitcoin is basically what this guy next to you will give you for your Bitcoins, or Dogecoin, or any of these other coins. And I've had lots of opportunities to get into crypto, and I refused every one of them. Too risky. Not interested. You could buy a $60 or $60,000 Bitcoin today that could be worth $25,000 tomorrow. It's very unlikely that a dollar today will lose 80% of its value overnight. A US dollar. All right. I'm going to get off my soapbox. I'm going to color good. We've got the spammers back, so it's time to kill them just for fun. And good night. See you. Bye. Take care.